Zohran Mamdani, who ran a campaign based on liberal, progressive, and leftist ideas, created the biggest upset of this election night by becoming the youngest mayor of New York City in more than a century. It has come as a major rebuke for President Donald Trump and the traditional democratic establishment. Mamdani, a self declared democratic socialist and state lawmaker from Queens, defeated former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Silva. For a candidate who entered the race barely a year before the vote with limited recognition and modest record, Mamdani's ascent to the city hall is remarkable. 34-year-old Mamdani will become the city's first Muslim mayor, its first South Asian mayor, and the first naturalized immigrant to hold the office since Abraham Bean in the 1970s. Born in Uganda to parents of Indian descent, Professor Mahmood Mamdani and filmmaker Meera Nair, Mamdani's rise reflects both the diversity of New York and the changing phase of Democratic Party's base. The central theme of Mamdani's campaign was affordability. Across the city, rising living cost and deepening inequality had caused widespread anxiety. Mamdani built his campaign on the conviction that government must intervene directly to make life more affordable for working people. His unapologetically socialist platform promised to expand the city's social safety net and use public policy to reduce the burden on ordinary families. Among his key pledges were 2% tax on the wealthiest New Yorkers, higher corporate taxes, and a rent freeze for rent-stabilized apartments and free city bus travel. He also proposed universal childcare for children under 5 and the establishment of city-run grocery stores to lower food costs. On public safety, Mamdani promised to reform the New York Police Department by creating a new Department of Community Safety to handle mental health and social service calls, arguing that police should not be the city's default response to every emergency. Though he had previously called for defunding the police, he has since expressed regret for that language and indicated that he would ask the current commissioner to remain in place, displaying ample pragmatism needed to survive in the cutthroat world of NYC politics. Meanwhile, the defeat of Andrew Cuomo, who resigned as governor after allegations of sexual harassment, symbolizes the collapse of New York's democratic establishment. He ran as an independent after losing the Democratic primary to Mamdani, but he faced enormous pushback from rank-and-file Democratic voters. Towards the end, the race became bitter and personal. Cuomo's campaign portrayed Mamdani as a far-left radical without the capability to manage the city's finances and as an Islamist who would be a threat to public safety. Still, Mamdani won convincingly, demonstrating that New Yorkers were ready to move beyond the politics of fear and division. The race also drew intense national attention, especially following the intervention of President Trump, who endorsed Cuomo shortly before the election day. Trump repeatedly mocked Mamdani as a communist and warned that he would cut federal funding to New York if Mamdani pursued policies he opposed. He even threatened to deploy the National Guard in response to decisions he considered extreme. Mamdani's team treated these threats seriously and pledged to respond firmly to any federal interference. The confrontation between the socialist mayor and the conservative president is expected to continue, the National Republicans likely to use Mamdani's record to argue that progressive governance lead to economic decline and disorder. The most pressing difficulty is funding. His ability to finance expanded services by taxing the wealthy depends heavily on cooperation from state government in Albany. Governor Kathy Hochul has made it clear that she opposes significant new taxes, leaving Mamdani with limited room to maneuver. Without state approval, many of his most ambitious proposals may be impossible to implement.